fight to the death.
Nolan!
Between the two most dangerous animals on Earth.
What in hell are you?
Man and Orca.
In a world of countless Jaws ripoffs, there are very few that actually manage to avoid slipping on the proverbial piss puddle that is the rest of these trash tier B movies and actually kind of hold their own. 1977's Orca, the killer whale, ! Is one such movie. Am I saying Orca is good? No, but it's probably one of the more respectable of the Jawsploitation movies. Orca has its origins in a dick-waving contest from Dino De Laurentiis, who basically saw Jaws and then told producer Luciano Vincenzoni to go find a fish tougher and more terrible than a great white. The end result being this movie, because orcas are the only known predators of the great white besides, well, you know, us. But then Jaws 2 was like, reverse Uno, bitch! The comparisons to Jaws start almost immediately with the opening of the movie essentially being almost a carbon copy of the last half of Jaws, with a fishing boat hunting down a great white with basically their version of Quint that ends up getting its shit pushed in by an orca that comes out of nowhere like a goddamn torpedo. Now the shark here is almost as convincing as the shark in Jaws the Revenge, so that's awesome. And despite the fact that the movie's score was done by the great Ennio Morricone, I can't be the only one who hears some of the notes from John Williams' Jaws score in this, right? I mean, it's subtle, but it's there, I swear.
Look, that agent's in the water!
But whereas Jaws is an exciting, fun, sometimes funny movie that is a blast to watch any day of the week, Orca, no, this shit ain't fun, man. In fact, the opening 20 or so minutes are some of the most depressing, disturbing, unpleasant times I've spent watching a movie. So this movie's Quint, named Nolan, played by Richard Harris, who's probably best known nowadays as Dumbledore from the first two Harry Potter movies, decides sharks are so last year and decides to fetch himself a whale instead. Problem is, dude aims about as good as a 10-year-old in Fortnite getting slapped by his dad and ends up hitting a pregnant female orca instead. The screams...
Merciful God, what's that?
The way she tries to just unalive herself by ramming into the propeller, like, dude, it's awful. And if that wasn't bad enough, once they get it on board, the orca pumps out an orca fetus onto the deck of the boat, and its last moments alive are Nolan just spraying it off the deck with a hose like it's garbage. What the actual fuck? Like, this whole opening is screwed up, dude. And this is the guy we're supposed to follow throughout the movie? Like, this is who we're supposed to root for? So now the orca's mate, who watched all this happen, basically turns into an aquatic John Wick, and that's the plot. I can't remember how old exactly I was when I first saw this, but I can damn well tell you that it was way too young for this level of depressing. This messed me up. From this point on, the rest of the movie is basically just Nolan being depressed about what he did while the orca constantly hounds him from the water. And this whale is big brain, even managing to have the forethought to somehow trigger a fire from shore that travels up a mountain and blows up the village gas plant. That's some Kevin McAllister level ingenuity right there, man. Too bad Nolan's a dipshit though, because despite knowing full well there's an orca trying to John Wick his ass just offshore, bro still hangs out in his house that's built on water. And as you probably guessed, doesn't go well. In fact, most of the people in this movie have the intelligence level of a butt cheek. Not just Nolan, but like everybody. For some reason, knowing full well what this whale is capable of, people just keep standing on the edge of boats. And then there's this guy who like runs out of the boat as ice is falling from the sky and it's just like, oh sweet, I could use a shower. Dumb! The movie's climax is easily the best part, even though it's once again basically just Jaws with a different skin. At some point, Nolan and his crew end up on an iceberg. The orca sinks the boat and they end up on the ice where the orca jumps up on the side of it, and I mean, I really don't need to explain why this is just Jaws, do I? But rather than getting eaten, Wick Whale has a different plan. And I've got to be perfectly honest, considering this guy slaughtered a pregnant, innocent killer whale for money, I was rooting for the orca in the end. The one thing this movie gets really right is the animatronic whales. They look great, and there are plenty of shots where I couldn't tell if I was looking at actual whale footage or one of the effects. They were so good, in fact, that apparently animal rights activists tried blocking the trucks that were transporting them. They're this movie's saving grace. I'll give Orca a 3 out of 5. Of all the terrible Jaws knockoffs out there, this one's probably in the top 5. Not that the bar has been set very high, but still, it's somewhat of an accomplishment. At least this one feels like an actual film, albeit a very depressing one.